In the news tonight, Italki land protected under Constitution. Hope party leader questions Sodelpa's intentions. And police investigate Tavyuni fires.
From the studios of FBC Suva, Edwin Nunn.
Ulawinaka, Fiji. Prime Minister Vorengem Bainimarama says it's only the 2013 Constitution that provides true protection to Italki landowners. This comes after former opposition leader Sitiveni Rambuka defended the land swap on Momi and Denarau under his SVT government as a mechanism enacted in law to enable and facilitate development. Bainimarama says land swap aside, the fact is that Italki land did get transferred to freehold land and then sold off to private entities in Denarau and Momi. He says this shows that previously it was legally possible to permanently alienate Italki land from Italki landowners. Bainimarama adds it is only the 2013 Constitution that prohibits such dealings, and now landowners can never be permanently alienated from their land. This, he says, is expressly enshrined in the Bill of Rights contained in the 2013 Constitution. The Prime Minister also says Rambuka should read the 2030 Constitution, as all previous laws and his Constitution of 1997 did not protect the Italki. He has again assured that the rights, ownership and protection of Italki, Rutuman and Banaban land under sections 28, 29 and 30 of the Constitution will remain protected. And the government has today clarified that the Italki Land Trust Amendment Bill confirming that the powers of the Italki Land Trust Board remain intact. In a written statement, it explains that the amendment bill only applies to leases which are properly issued by the TLTB and which are registered with the Registrar of Titles. The government says Bill 17 proposes that the consent of TLTB is no longer required for any mortgage, charge, pledge, caveat or for any court proceedings. However, for any other dealing which requires the consent of TLTB, consent can be refused where there is breach of the lease condition or where the application is not in accordance with the law. Registered proper leases are only issued by the TLTB after necessary consent of the Italki landowning units and after terms and conditions such as rent and premium are prescribed by TLTB in a proper lease agreement. The bill does not apply to Vakavanua and other ad hoc arrangements for occupation which are not properly registered under the law. The government says Sodelpa Whip Linda Tambuya has maliciously alleged that the bill will result in landowners losing their rent payment as well as losing control over their lands. It adds before any Italki land is leased, the express consent of Italki landowners is obtained and premium and land rent are legally enforceable, not affected by any dealing with the lease, even if the tenant has mortgaged that lease. A mortgage over any Italki lease will not and does not change the amount of lease monies received by TLTB on behalf of the landowning units. The government also says it is absurd that Tambuya suggests that landowners will have no control over their land, as Italki leases have been mortgaged well before this amendment was proposed, and none of these mortgages have taken away the control of TLTB. Even with the removal of the need for a consent to mortgage, lease monies will continue to be paid to landowners and TLTB will continue to monitor and enforce the terms of the leases. Hope leader and High Chief Rokotopon Raunindalo has backed amendments to the Italki Land Trust Act, saying the Social Democratic Liberal Party is lying to landowners. Speaking to FBC News, Rokotopo has hit out at Sodelpa's attempts to get petitions signed by the people of Naikoro Tikina in Navosa, where she has chiefly links. She says her family, who are chiefly title holders in Naikoro, contacted her yesterday, raising concerns about Sodelpa's intentions. The Hope leader and former parliamentarian is concerned that landowners are being misled about the intentions of Bill number 17.
People are getting the wrong interpretation of the bills, and it's riling them up to make them say and do silly things. That's my concern, breaches of the peace.
I believe the message is very clear, and people who are signing know exactly why they are signing.
Rokotupo has assured the Itoke community that they can have faith in the 2013 constitution to protect their interests when it comes to land ownership.
Everything is lawful now. They just have to follow the law and follow the process. Stop all this nonsense about marching and, listening to silly interpretations, trying to rile them up over nothing.
I don't understand where that is coming from, because we don't want to lose that consent. It needs to stay there.
With Parliament set to debate the bill later this week, the Hope Party is calling on landowners not to be easily swayed by misinformation.
The Constitution is very clear. The Constitution is higher than any mortgage, higher than any charge, higher than any legislation. It says native land can never be alienated. It will always belong to the landowners, no one else.
The government has also maintained that changes to the Act are administrative in nature. Separate fires and an early morning break-in have shocked the people of Nangara in Tavyuni. Police received a report that a shop located in Nangara was on fire, while another report was received that the Madhwata Muslim League Mosque was also ablaze. A team of police officers and firefighters were deployed. However, the fire was already put out by a neighbor at the mosque. The Divisional Crime Officer North and a team from CID Lambasa have been deployed to assist with investigations. An eyewitness informed FBC News that the shop was destroyed in the fire while residents were able to save the mosque. The shop is said to have had around $70,000 worth of items. There was also a break-in at a retail outlet, with suspects alleged to have broken down the door of the outlet to gain entry. The mosque and the retail outlet are in two different buildings. The drop in new COVID-19 cases should be viewed with caution, says the Ministry of Health. Permanent Secretary for Health, Dr. James Fong, says the daily case numbers have increased and decreased in the past and will continue to vary. Dr. Fong highlights this is influenced by a number of factors, including where samples that were tested on a particular day came from. He adds, for example, the Western Division samples are currently being prioritized as they are still in the containment phase. Dr. Fong says quick turnaround of results will help with identifying cases and contacts early to contain transmission. The PS adds it's more helpful to monitor our 7-day average of cases over a period of time to assess our trend of cases. The 7-day average of new cases per day is 863 cases or 975 cases per million population per day. Our COVID-19 update for tonight. Fiji had 684 new COVID-19 infections for the period ending at 8 a.m. yesterday. The Health Ministry recorded 5 new COVID-19 deaths between 19th and 23rd July. Fiji has recorded 22,443 cases since April of this year. There are now 16,563 active cases in isolation, with 5,686 recoveries in total. The COVID-19 death toll stands at 177. The vaccination campaign also continues around the country. As of earlier this afternoon, 440,361 or 75.1% of the population has received their first dose of the AstraZeneca vaccine. 96,357 or 16.4% have received the second dose. The 5 most vaccinated areas remain Mba and Rewa at 100% first jabbed. Next are Nanonga, Naitasiri and Nandi. Up ahead, City Council happy to assist Ministry of Health. Welcome back. The Suva City Council says it's more than happy to provide facilities to the Ministry of Health to boost their vaccination and containment efforts. Special Administrator's Chair Isikeli Tikunduandua says they are supporting the ministry to reduce the widespread transmission and severe cases in the Laminosori containment area. Kritika Kumar reports.
The Special Administrator's Chair believes having a drive-through vaccination site at Suva's Albert Park will to some extent assist the ministry in meeting its target.
So there has been an arrangement because we really want to have as many people in Suva get vaccinated, because we are not really getting there fast enough like some of the other areas or the other municipality.
Tikunduandua says the facilities offered by the council are safe, as people can come in their own bubbles.
So we really needed to send out a very strong message to the people in Suva. The facilities are there, please take advantage of it. And it's in a safe place, there's a lot of space. You are given the opportunity to come out in your own safety bubble.
Permanent Secretary for Health Dr. James Fong says Fiji has an outbreak of severe disease and the unvaccinated Fijians are mostly dying.
There is no stronger evidence pointing to why we must vaccinate all adults, in particular those who are at greatest risk of severe disease and death. We need to do this as quickly as humanly possible. It is the best available protection against the worst effects of the virus.
Fijians have been urged to practice COVID-19 safe measures when using council facilities. Kritika Kumar, FBC News.
Minister for Local Government, Housing and Community Development, Premila Kumar, says the 2021-2022 budget does not only focus on recovery post-pandemic, but is also a futuristic budget. Kumar says it considers the current aspect and how to come out of the situation created by COVID-19 and how to work towards the future and diversify the economy. Pranita Prakash reports.
Despite the challenges posed by the COVID-19 pandemic, the ministry will continue to deliver its services.
The funds are still available for first home buyers, first land buyers, land survey. All that funds are still there.
The budget for Ministry of Housing and Community Development has slightly decreased. However, Premila Kumar has assured that none of their projects have been affected.
3 projects which we have done, which is Duvu, Lendrusasa and Wain Damo Damo. These 3 projects are completed.
She adds that in the 2021-2022 budget, $2 million has been set aside for the development of informal settlement. Economy Minister Ayah Sayed Qayyum says they are working on reducing the expenditure for the government.
Almost all the government ministries have had expenditure cuts. A number of capital projects that we would have liked last year, this year to implement, we've actually put them on hold.
The Economy Minister also clarified that there is no over-projection of revenue in the 2021-2022 national budget. Pranita Prakash, FBC News.
Overseas, thousands of anti-lockdown protesters descended on Sydney's central business district in Australia yesterday afternoon as New South Wales announced a new daily record for COVID-19 cases. Protesters clashed with police in defiance of public health orders amid a growing COVID-19 outbreak. Losing his job during the pandemic only made Rohit James more ambitious in starting his own business, James Debt Collection Services. Despite a tough start to operations, the 25-year-old remained gritty in achieving his goal. Felipe Nakaso with tonight's successful Fijian.
You guys can go to any of our branches.
It's something that he had always fantasized about while in university, but to actually run his own business now with his wife is still a bit surreal.
Very much impressed, feeling proud of my business that I didn't knew that from the day I started my business and now I didn't expect that I'll be dealing with so many big clients in Fiji and abroad as well, and I'm proud.
All of this began after James was let go due to the pandemic, and instead of just sitting around and complaining about being without a job, he and his wife decided to do something about it. They even did a few odd jobs just to get the ball rolling. However, according to James, there's no such thing as a job too small when you're trying to achieve your goal.
During this pandemic, it's very hard to find a job. So what we decided, we started to sell roti parcels. So early morning, 5 o'clock, my wife used to wake up in the morning and starts to make roti and parcels. And
with his business now running very successfully, James, however, has always reminded himself of the humbling experience while in uni.
I was currently doing my uni classes. I was working for Jess Santaram supermarket as a packer boy, just to support my their studies. And I was earning, doing the packing in supermarkets, and I was earning the money from there. Then I was supporting my studies to pay my fees and all.
At times, James admits that he always has flashbacks of when he was given the marching orders from his former employer, but he is glad of all the support he received during this time as he worked on starting his business.
One of the encouragement was from one of my close friend, Mr. Chandar Narayan, who is the director of Cross Ocean Freight Logistics. He really inspired me a lot, and he told me that why should you start with your own business, which you have more capabilities, and with your experience, you can do it. So, nevertheless, I just took that opportunity and I started my debt collection agency.
James now resides in Tongo Lavusa in Nandi, happily married with 3 children. His aim is to further expand his business right across the country as soon as the borders are lifted. Philip and Ikaso, FBC News.
Leading sports, the Fiji 7 side is less than 15 hours away from starting its gold medal defense at the Tokyo Olympic Games. There's no doubt the players understand how important it is to defend the title and lift the spirits of a nation in a health crisis. But what makes it even more inspiring for the players is to hear from those who stood on the winning podium 5 years ago in Rio, Brazil. The Fiji 7 side will take on Japan in its first match at 12 p.m. tomorrow. Their second pool game will also be played tomorrow against Canada at 8 p.m. Fiji's final group match is against 2016 silver medalists Great Britain at 12:30 p.m. on Tuesday. Before the quarterfinals, the semi-final and final will be held on Wednesday. The focus may be on the Fiji 7 side because they are medal contenders, but Team Fiji believes the Fijiana is capable of doing the same. Senior division players affected by the second wave of COVID-19 are now being assisted with food rations by the Fiji Football Association. Both men and women's players from Nasinu and Lami have been helped. Players in Vanuatu will also be assisted, according to Fiji FA. The players were identified following a survey. The Fiji FA is also reminding players if they want to play, they'll need to be vaccinated. The British and Irish Lions defeated world champions South Africa 22-17 this morning in their first test. Both teams scored a try each, but the Lions converted 5 penalties to the Springboks 4. William Kikau and the Panthers defeated the Broncos 18-12 in a close contest last night in the NRL. The spirited Broncos were in the game all night and showed some promising signs after a lot of negative publicity. The Manly Sea Eagles are now 6th on the NRL ladder after an impressive 44-24 win against the West Tigers. Generally fine conditions prevailed today. In the west, it was sunny and pleasant. Eastwards from Pacific Harbour to Suva, much of the similar sunny conditions. Looking to the north, fine apart from possible afternoon or evening showers. At sea, easterly winds 15 to 20 knots, moderate to rough seas. Turning to the tides, the high tide is at 7:51 p.m. with low tide at 1:43 tomorrow morning. Sunrise will be at 6:36. For tomorrow, cloudy periods with brief showers over the eastern parts and the interior of the larger islands and the Lau and Lomaiviti group. The outlook for Tuesday, cloudy periods with some showers over most places. And recapping our main stories, Italki land protected under Constitution. Hope Party leader questions Sodelpa's intentions and police investigate Tavyuni fires. For these stories and others, tune in daily to our sister radio station Gold FM. To our poll question. This week we are asking, are you satisfied with the national budget? Visit our FBC News website to take part and send us newsworthy pictures and videos. Email fbcnews@fbc.com.fj or share it with us via social media. You can also download our FBC app to keep updated with the very latest in news and sports and listen to our 6 radio stations live. That's your news this evening. I'll see you again tomorrow. Until then, stay safe. Modemanda.